वरं पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि आबाहुपुरुषाकारं शङ्खचक्रासिधारिणं सहस्रशिरसं श्वेतं प्रणमामि पतञ्जलिम् प्रणमामि पतञ्जलिम् श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम् Namaste and welcome you all. I'm happy, glad to see almost, I think, all of you over here. Vignesh, Anandji, Anita, Archana also. Oh, you have been missing there in the class physically. Monish and Sai and Shilinji, Sri Haindavi, Srinu. Of course, I understand Sai means Sai and Ankita together, and Monish and Anirudh and Vidya Gajesh all together. So that shows, I think, only Orlando is missing.
He messaged me.
Okay, he has messaged. Okay. Okay. So in this class, we would resume back our studies on the Yoga Sutra. We all know that the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, which is a compilation of the yogic thoughts which were available at the time of Maharshi Patanjali, may it be from the Vedas, which is the first and foremost text of yoga, may it be the Upanishads, which is the last conclusive portion of the Veda, may it be from Bhagavad Gita, the teachings of Bhagavan Shri Krishna as seen in Mahabharata, may it be from Ramayana of Valmiki, may it be Srimad Bhagavatam. From various scriptures, we see Patanjali have taken, compiled, and collectively put them in the form of the aphorisms, the sutras, which are 196 in total. And I told you there are 4 chapters into which he has divided the whole of sutras. The 4 chapters which are called the Pada, my bag. The 4 Padas. The Padas are respectively Samadhi Pada, Sadhana Pada, Vibhuti Pada, and Kaivalya Pada. And in the Samadhi Pada, the number of sutras are 51. How many are the sutras totally in Samadhi Pada? 51 are the total number of sutras in the Samadhi Pada, the first one. And 55 are the second number of sutras in the second chapter. Chapter, you can call it as. The Sadhana Pada is 55. And third, Vibhuti Pada, again, in the third chapter, Vibhuti Pada 55. And finally, in Kaivalya Pada 34. So 51, 55, 55, and 34. How much it comes together? So it should be 195. So some scriptures, according to some version, is 195, some version is 196. So I have already told you the first chapter of Samadhi Pada tells you the kind of goal setting of what yoga is and what are the different layers or levels of Samadhi. It talks of the definition of yoga, and what are the chitta vrittis, what obstacles we face in the path of yoga, and everything have in which two yogas are dealt with. The first yoga is called Kriya Yoga. The second yoga is Ashtanga Yoga. Some people consider the first chapter, the yogas taught in the first chapter, the levels of samadhi also as a yoga, samadhi yoga, like that they will take. But we need not have to take like that. The second chapter starts with Kriya Yoga and then goes again into Ashtanga Yoga. We understand Kriya Yoga is also in a way part of Ashtanga Yoga only, because three of the niyamas, tapas, swadhyaya, ishvara, pranidhana, three of the niyamas put together, it is called the Kriya Yoga. Probably in the beginning of Sadhana Pada, when Patanjali talks of the Kriya Yoga of tapas, swadhyaya, ishvara, pranidhana, this is what is the highest yoga, the Kriya Yoga, because we see even in Valmiki Ramayana, the very first shloka starts with this tapaswadhyaya niratam tapasvi vakvidambaram naradam parivapracha Valmikir Munipungavam. So tapaswadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana is was the indication in the first shloka of Ramayana itself, to show that Narada and Valmiki were highest in this yoga, so Kriya Yoga. So that is where Patanjali starts with his Kriya Yoga. Then he understood probably that it is not for everyone in common straight away to go to the highest Kriya Yoga of Tapaswadhyaya Ishvara Pranidhana. And therefore Patanjali thinks of the systematic step-by-step procedural way of moving ahead called the Ashtanga Yoga. I told you Ashtanga Yoga is in two ways we can look into. One way is looking into a kind of graded level, like first is yama, then niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. So that way, one after other going. That seems to be a very systematic, organized way of going procedurally. But same time, if you see, you have to learn and practice all the yama, then only all the niyama, then only all the asana, then only like this. If you go on, then lives will not be enough for you. So we understand, as they are called as the limbs, the anga, it is simultaneous. It is not that you complete one and then go to the other. Just like all the limbs of body are equally important for us, similarly, all the angas of Ashtanga Yoga are equally important. So collectively put together, the concept of Ashtanga Yoga is put forth for the general public. In general, we can consider as a sadhana. So that is all dealt with the sadhana pada. And third pada, vibhuti pada, talks about the milestones, what happens while you progress, like the siddhis, the powers. I also told you that even while you are progressing, you will start facing or feeling some tangible changes. If only every day we practice sincerely. Swalpam abhyasya dharmasya, grahayato mahato bhayat. Even little bit of practice of dharmic things like yoga, of bhakti, of all those adhyatma, everything we practice, we will get multifold the benefit. If only we practice. So even with asana practice, even with pranayama practice, everything, if we really practice, we will start seeing the wonderful benefits of them. So here in normal thing, we are spending only, yesterday I was only telling, if only you practice 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I was pleading to you people. Probably that has worked today. Everyone, even someone who said I cannot come also are here. Right? So this itself will definitely give some change, but I think of the full-fledged yogic system in which the yogis practiced. Right? We are all just momentary, instant yogis, but who gave the whole lifetime for it and practiced. Then great siddhis, How could Hanuman just fly high? Is it just simply a myth? No. It's technical. It's a technique. Once you make your body lighter, then you can levitate, you can float. There are many yogis who have demonstrated, even we have seen that all. The body becomes lighter. The prayojana, one of the benefit of asana is anga laghavam. Anga laghavam. Anga is a body parts. Becomes laghu. Vapukrishatvam. Body becomes lighter, not thinner. Today we are only worried about making the body thinner. But it is vapukrishatvam. Body lighter. So starting from this simple thing, to know what the other person thinks, to what is going to happen in the future, to solve many of our problems with the power of the yoga itself, the healing power and everything slowly starts coming. These are all the siddhis which are called vibhuti. Vibhuti means mahima, the glory. And finally, kaivalya, which is the samadhi attained, the highest levels of samadhi attained when you reach the ultimate goal of yoga, of the jivatma paramatma aikyata prakriti lina tasya prakriti linasya yah parasya maheshwaraha. That becoming one with the prakriti laya or with the jivatma paramatma in whatever way, ultimately that moksha prapti, the freedom, ultimate freedom, when it is attained, in the state of kaivalya. So it should be very clear, the 4 chapters of Samadhi Pada, Sadhana Pada, Vibhuti Pada, Kaivalya Pada, with 51, 55, 55 and 34 sutras. That is how the whole of Paatanjala Yoga Sutram is arranged. Now, having said, we all know the definition of yoga. Definition of yoga as told in the Yoga Sutra in the first chapter is Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Now we have to understand what is the chitta. I told in the beginning, generally, now you think chitta as the mind. I just have told you in the beginning that you can, time being, consider it to be just as the mind. But more systematically, we need to understand what it means. So this is where we need to understand that we can say as the 4 facets of mind. Not just the mind as we think alone. You can think as we usually say them as the 4 facets of mind, which are called antahkarana. So what are the antahkaranas? First is manas, chitta, third buddhi, and fourth ahankara. Manas, chitta, buddhi, ahankara. There's a very famous Nirvana Shatkam. Some of you must have heard this. Even the Isha yoga, they have made it popular. Manobuddhyahankara chittani naham. Manobuddhyahankara chittani naham. Na cha shrotra jihve na cha grana netre. Ityadi it goes. Finally, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. So there you understand Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, Hankara. So these are the Chitta Vrittis, what we call as. So these Chitta Vrittis, I'm sorry, these are the Antakkaranas, what we call as. These Antakkaranas, Manas, when we say, what does it mean? It is nothing but you can call the thoughts or the collection of all the thoughts what we have. So always we have the different mental thoughts. Always there's some thought or other going on. Even while this class, oh, what is he going to tell today? What is he going to teach? Right? We always have thinking always happening. Even the meditative state where we are supposed to be thoughtless, that is where more the thoughts which comes. So manas is nothing but what we call in simple layla in English as mind, which is the conglomeration or the collection of thoughts. And all these thoughts what we have, they go and deposit in the region of the chitta, which is nothing but the region of the collected and deposited thoughts, which becomes the memory. Right? So it is the mind field. Generally, you can call manas as mind and chitta as the mind field, which is the deposited thoughts. The pre-deposited thoughts becomes what? As memory. Because the fresh memory is called smriti. We'll see about it today itself, a little later. The fresh memory, like from little past, little away, what happened yesterday, what happened, all those are called smriti. But the entire field of the collective memory of thoughts, that is called the chitta. And the intellect is called buddhi. Intellect, as we call, that is the buddhi, which is the discriminative power to make us understand what is good, what is bad. In fact, all the time, usually you see, always the first decision which comes to us, we sometimes ignore the first decision which comes to us and go to the next further things. Then after some time, what we think, Array, I should have done this only before. Today itself, I was facing an example of that. Array, I should have done this before. Many people, after 20 years of married life, repent. Array, I should have married him only, or I should have married her only after 20, 30 years. Because then you realize the first choice would have been the best choice. If you think the first decision always comes from the buddhi, the intellect, right? Then the mind plays, mind manipulates. Mind comes and chitta vritti starts. And then, oh, you can do this, you can do that. Lot of options. Buddhi gives only one straightforward option. You just analyze, you will understand. Whereas when mind comes, the thoughts comes, then you have hundreds of things with which there is a Mahabharata which starts, the tug of war starts. So the field of the right decision, which is coming out of the discriminative power we have, is called the intellect. In English, generally, what we call as intellect is what is called buddhi. And finally, what is ahankara, which we call it as ego. Ego. But what is that ego actually? We always say he has a lot of ego. She is very egoistic, we say. But what that ego is actually, right? It's nothing but self-identification. Identification. Often, the identification should be, the real self-identification should be with yourself. What we call a self, your soul. If it is right identification over the soul, that's the right identification. But often what happens, the wrong identification, which is with your body. So it is called ahankara here, right? When you are identifying yourself with your atma, then that is the adhyatma buddhi, that is atma sakshatkara. Whereas here, that is when we say aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi ityadi Mahavakyaskam Aham Brahmasmi, I am the divine. It becomes ahankara when you identify yourself with your body. We need to understand that the body is only the gadi, the vehicle in which we are traveling in a temporary manner. Body is not permanent, but what happens? We identify ourselves with the body too much, and because of which all problem arises. So ahankara is nothing but the ego arising because of our identification with the body, which is actually a false identification, which is not the true identification in the real sense. It's a false identification, the ahankara, which happens. So, manas, chitta, buddhi, ahankara, the four antakarana, these are the internal vehicles or tools, inner tools for us to grow in sadhana also. We have to use them. They becomes our obstacle also. We need to overcome. So understanding all those, then out of the four antakarana, mainly yoga is dealing with chitta. The yoga of jnana yoga is dealing with buddhi. Right? The jnana yoga, the path of jnana yoga is the path of intellect, we have already told. So there it deals with buddhi more. And whereas here, the path of Raja Yoga is Chitta Vritti Nirodha Yoga. And therefore, we need to work on the mind level. Chitta is nothing but the mind field, where it is the collective repository of all the thoughts which are there. Having said this, what is Chitta Vritti? When Patanjali says Chitta Vritti Nirodha, what is the Chitta Vritti? I already told you when I told about this definition. Chitta Vritti Nirodha. These three which are there in this point, right? So Chitta Vritti and Nirodha. So here, when Chitta we already understood. Okay. Even though technically it's a mind field, the collection, repository of the thoughts in the memory, generally again for easy understanding at this level, you take it to be the mind. Generally what in English we say mind, nothing but the collection of thoughts, all different thoughts what we have as chitta. Vritti, I told you, is the modifications. Does the mind be at the same kind of nature all the time? No, right? The nature of mind itself is, it's a monkey mind. It keeps changing. And therefore, the vrittis are the modifications of the mind. And what are we supposed to do? Stop it. The stoppage of the mind is called, the stoppage of the modifications of the mind is what is called Nirodha. Here we have again further things which we need to understand. Mudha, Shipta, Vikshipta, Ekagra, and Nirodha. Mudha, Kshipta, Vikshipta, Ekagra, and Nirodha. What is Mudha? Dull state of mind. Sometimes the mind becomes so dull that it doesn't want to think of anything. Nirodha also is a kind of dull state, but this is a positive dull state, right? often we confuse between sattva and tamas. Sattvic people also don't do much. Tamasic people also don't do much. Right? Kumbhakarna did not do anything, just sleeping all the time. An example of the tamasic nature. Rishi Munis, there are many tapasvis who are not doing anything. So they are ultimate sattva. We who are all doing different action all the time, we are rajasic. Now, the Rishi Munis who are meditating are also not doing anything. This fellow Kumbhakarna or many of our mini Kumbhakarnas who are living along with us in the contemporary world are also not doing anything. Are both the same? Right? They, Rishi Munis, even though physically they don't do anything, their presence itself is something very great, what they do. Right? So that is the difference between Moda and Nirodha. Here, Moda is already not working, mind is not working. For sometimes we say, no, yo, my mind is not working at all. Are good, yeah. Ultimately, all of yoga we are doing to stop the mind. Now your mind already stopped. Better be, no, we can't tell that. You have to make them to work the mind first. And then when the mind goes haywire, slow down, focus, calm down, and defocus and go to stoppage of mind. Right? If your mind is not working at all in the beginning, again, you have to see again due to which reason. There were jnanis, born jnanis. For example, there was a jnani called Nammalvar. One of the Alvars in Tamil Nadu. When he was born only, no chitta vritti. He was not talking. He was not doing anything. He was meditating right from born as a baby. So his parents did not know what to do because he was born as a baby. He was not dead. Life is there. There is still the prana which is there, but no activity of the physical body. He is not able to, do any physical motor functions are not there, nor talk, nor response to the talks of the parents, anything. But body is growing. His body grew bigger. But there is no mental activity. He didn't speak nor respond to their speech, everything. He was simply sitting, Jadonmata. Right? So for him also, mind had stopped working. Why? Because it has gone to the state of chittavritti nirodha. It has gone to samadhi sthiti. Therefore, he didn't do anything. He didn't speak. He didn't do anything. He just sat on the samadhi itself. Therefore, the parents, they put him on a tree. There was a tamarind tree in Alvar Tirunagari in Tamil Nadu near Tirunelveli. So they have put him there. The body was growing, but mind-wise, he had gone to the state of mano nasha, chitta vritti nirodha. And therefore, he was in that samadhi sthiti itself. Right? But in some case, we see, we always say, he is dull-headed. Some children we identify as dull-headed. You ask him something, he is not able to think. He is by default like that. Can we consider them to be Nammalvars? No. Can we tell, oh, he is also in samadhi? No. In today's world, danger. If some parents get to know, in those days, no, we think, we can't do anything with such children. Suppose from birth, there is no mental functions. Now, today you tell, then parents can make a business out of him by making him samadhi. Baba, this my child is in samadhi. So that's not like that. So that is the mental illness of being in the dull state of mind called muda. Now, from there, when the mind becomes little active, shipta. Shipta is different distorted thoughts. The Chitta mind is distorted thoughts. Too many thoughts. You have too many objects and too many subjects, and based on that, too many thoughts. That is where most of us are always put forth, right? I saw a girl 3 days back. Many of you have seen her also in the other yoga center. who want to study yoga, who want to do aerobics, who want to do Zumba, who want to do karate, who want to do disco, who want to go here, who do there, do this 100 things at a time. That is called Kshipta. And from there, what is Vikshipta? Between pairs of opposites. Okay. First and foremost, you have lot of things. Whenever you go to hotel, in fact, we get this problem. What to eat? North Indian, South Indian, Chinese, Punjabi, this or Arabic. What is that? Then finally you decided, okay, I will eat South Indian. Now, having decided South Indian, what idli or dosa? Okay, dosa. Then which dosa? Masala dosa, rava dosa, set dosa, onion dosa, uttappam, kitappam. What is that? That is how the mind goes on, right? So between pairs of opposite itself, when the mind fluctuates, that is a state of vikshipta, duality of the mind. And ekagra is the focused mind. Ekakrata, we call, what is concentration called generally in Sanskritam? Ekakrata. In all Indian languages, even in Malayalam, in Kannada, Telugu, we use it as ekakrata. In Tamil, we don't have this word ekakrata. We call it as mana orumaipadu. Mana orumaipadu, that is what we say in Tamil, which is focus. So ekakrata. And finally, nirodha is that stoppage of the modifications of the mind and silence of the mind. Muda is the dullness of the mind, and nirodha is the silence of the mind. You understand the difference? Mudha is the dullness of the mind. Nirodha is the silence of the mind. Silencing is not because of dullness. It's a voluntary, state to which you mature, you grow, and silence the mind. The calmness, which is achieved through yoga. It's the highest state. So these are the different stages of mind, which are called Chitta Bhumika. You have heard of the name Bhumika, right? So this is Chitta Bhumika, which the Yoga Sutra talks about. Bhumika means the plane in which mind functions. So what are the four Antakarana? Manas, Chitta, Buddhi, Ahankara. What are the Chitta Bhumikas, the planes of mind? Mudha, Kshipta, Vikshipta, Ekagra, Nirodha. Are the 5 planes of the mind, or Chitta Bhumika, as we call them. Having said this, another important thing. Now we know what is Chitta, how Chitta works in different levels. Now we need to understand what are the Chitta Vrittis. Chitta Vrittis, we know already, they are the modifications of the mind. The different functionalities, the modifications, or you can call them as the different functionalities of the mind. What are the different functionalities of the mind? As per Patanjali, he tells the first is pramana. The second is viparyaya. The third is pramana viparyaya vikalpa. The fourth is nidra. And fifth is smriti. All of you repeat. Pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra, smriti. Pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, smriti.
Vikalpa, nidra, smriti.
What does this pramana mean?
Pramana.
Very, very popularly known word. We all usually use this word called pramana. What is this pramana? Pramana is the source of right knowledge. ಪ್ರತ್ಯಕ್ಷವಾಗಿ ಪ್ರಮಾಣಿಸಿ ನೋಡು ಅಂತಾರೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ. Now I am talking to you on the different aspects of the mind. I am not simply talking. I am talking based on the pramana of the Paatanjala Yoga Sutra. So Paatanjala Yoga Sutra is my reference point, right? So the right source of knowledge is pramana. So whatever studies we have, the education we have, that gives you a pramana. That is a function of the mind. In fact, now when having said Patanjali, having said there are 5 chitta vrittis, vrittayaha panchatayaha, he says 5 types of vrittis you have. What are they? Klishtaha, aklishtaha. Klishtaha, that which puts you into a klesha, a pain. And aklishtaha, that which is not painful. But still, even though it is not painful, even though it is not troublesome, still it's a chitta vritti. Functions of the mind, you need to go beyond that and go to that state where you don't have any function of the mind. Mind gets absent. Chitta vritti, nirodha, to that state we need to go. So the right comprehension, right way of understanding is what is called pramana. Is pramana good or bad? It can be good and bad also. It can be aklishta and klishta also. Just think of our military people, army people. The Indian army people have the right source of warfare fighting, of the arms, of the weapons, right? Of the whatever, the war weapons and everything. Technically, they know everything. They're supposed to know everything, the pramana. Now, what about the terrorist militants? They also know. Sometimes they know better, perhaps. They're also technically qualified, right? In fact, there are many very well qualified people who go into such militant camps and all those things. They also have knowledge. If you see our scriptures also in the Puranas and all, the Rakshasas, they were not simply ordinary people. They were equally qualified people. When we see of Ravana, he was a master in Vedas also. He is a Rishi Putra himself, right? So even though knowledge, it can be a chitta vritti. So the right comprehension also is a chitta vritti, the pramana. Again, Patanjali further tells us what the further classifications of the pramana are. There are 3 types of, how do we do? The 3 types of pramana. Three types of pramana. What are they? First is pratyaksha. What I have seen, the direct inference, the direct source of reference. It is not someone who have seen. It is you who have seen, right? And therefore, that is pratyaksha. You have seen very, very clearly that this fellow has killed that fellow. I have clearly seen, right, that this accident happened. It's because of this vehicle which came and hit. Pramana. The pratyaksha pramana, what I have seen. Now, is that alone the source? No. Sometimes you have not seen that to happen, but something you have seen because of which you come to a conclusion that it has happened, right? What is that? If there is a smoke, there is a fire. So what is that called? There is a smoke. Therefore, I have an anumana that there is fire. Someone's we have a story, then the what do you call it as kiri pillai mongoose, what is it called? So the fellow who there was, he was taking care of a mongoose in the house, and then he sees his child dead, and he sees this blood on this body of this mongoose, and therefore he thinks that this mongoose has only killed the child, and he kills this mongoose. But later he knows there is a snake which came to bite the child, and then this mongoose fought against the snake and it died. Right? So anumana. If you see, suddenly one day it so happened, or Vani saw a lot of red color on the lips of Haindavi, which was out in the mouth. Hare, what is this? What is this? Blood is coming out of her lip, is what Vani thought. Right? She had the anumana that it is blood because it is red in color, which is leaking out of her mouth. Then she understood that it is not just the blood, but she has drank tomato sauce through her mouth and it was coming out. Probably like that. So anumana is you see something there, and because of which you come to some conclusion. It could be wrong. Anumana can go wrong. Pratyaksha also sometimes, because we see and we think, though you have seen, but it can also sometimes go wrong. Therefore, we have to inquire more, we always say, right? Kannal kanvadum poi, kadal ketpadum poi, tira visari pademe. And so second, even anumana, which is a source, still it is considered to be a source. That is what we call as inference. In research, that is called inference, anumana. And third, agama. Now, yoga, I am talking to you based on the pramana of agama. What is the agama? The Paatanjala Yoga Sutra is the agama. Patanjali saw it pratyaksha. The Rishi Munis, when they see, for them it is pratyaksha. And what they have seen as pratyaksha, they document. And that documentation done by them becomes a source for us, a text for us. The textual reference is called agama. So what are the three types of pramana? Pratyaksha, anumana, agama. Of course, Patanjali has not spoken about the fourth one, but generally in the Sampradaya, there is a fourth pramana which is taken, which is apta pramana. Which is apta pramana. What? My pratyaksha anubhava. When I myself, I'm standing and telling to you, it's apta pramana. Your Guru Vakya is apta pramana for you. The Guru who is immediate next to you, the teacher who is immediate next to you, his vak is apta, a dear one to you. Your friend who has seen is dear. But what someone else whom you have not seen, but he has documented in the textbook, that is agama pramana. So the apta pramana is not spoken up in the Yoga Sutra here, but elsewhere we have that apta pramana also. So all put together, pratyaksha, anumana, agama are three are pramana. Pramana is the right comprehension of knowledge. Now, what is viparyaya? Now, for the class, you didn't come, someone didn't come. Let us assume Vignesh did not come. He has come. Now he is there. Suppose, let us presume he has not come. Okay. Now I'm thinking after the class. Everyone came. Shilinji came. Sai Ankita came. Aindavi came. Monish Anirudh came. Anita came. Even Archana, who usually doesn't come, also have come today. Arland has not come. Why Arland has not come? This fellow missed the class here, but went to pub. He went to Eastern and African. He went to this Dubai Mall. He went with his girlfriend. I can think, right? Are they the truth? Doesn't know. It is my assumption that he has not come because of these reasons. The reason could be valid reason could be he was caught in work, he was caught in traffic, he was sick, right? So he could have a valid reason, but my mind, it thinks of hundreds of wrong things in place of right thing what could be the truth. So this is your miscomprehension or misconception or misunderstanding, as we says. Usually the misconception, mostly we see the case of our didis, our ladies, your wives, especially when you go late from the office. What has happened? There are husbands like Narayana who leave wife here and then he's spending time in India with Subbu Bhaiya for months together. Then what Vani will be doing? Where did he go? What did he do? Did he really go to Kashi with Subbu Bhaiya or went to some club to spend time with them? So this is a Chitta Vritti, mental function, Viparyaya, misconception. And Vikalpa. At least in Viparyaya, there is an event. And your understanding of it became different, not the truth. Right? Sometimes your Viparya can also become later a pramana. That is where we call that as Anumana. That is different. So Viparya is completely that which is a misconception. At least here there is some base. You understand? There is some base. You understood it to be wrong. Right? I am thinking this is a Mickey Mouse. I'm seeing a picture of a Mickey Mouse here. I am thinking it is a Mickey Mouse. But the truth is that that is not Mickey Mouse. That is our Vignesh. It is Mickey Mouse, not Mickey Mouse. So there is something. I'm seeing here a mouse. But I am thinking that to be something else. You got my point. But what is Vikalpa? It is imagination. Abhava Pratyaya. There is no base at all. There is nothing happening. But I am imagining. In Viparyaya, there is an event happening. You misunderstood. Vikalpa is there is nothing happening. You are imagining. You know the difference between misconception and imagination. I don't have to elaborate. These are all the different functions of the mind which we are talking about. And fourth, Nidra. Nidra is most important function of the mind. And what is it called by Patanjali? Again, he called it as Abhava Pratyaya Alambana Tamo Vrittihi Nidra. Abhava, which is the non-existence or the absence of Pratyaya, of the thoughts, the mental process, the thinking process is absent here. When in sleep, why? Because it is supported by, there is a alambanam, there is a support of what? There's a tamovritti. There's a tamasic activity. That is called nidra. That is how he defines nidra as. I don't know, you will not find any particular definition for nidra. Here, Patanjali defines nidra as the absence of thoughts. Why absence of thought? Because of the state of the mind which is supported by tamovritti. Mind is in the state of the tamo nature. What is tamo nature? Lethargic nature. So when you sleep, mind is in tamas. That's what I told you. When you meditate, mind is in sattva. We start to meditate. We think we are still meditating, but usually many times what happens, we would have slept. Many so-called meditators are in sleep. In SVASA, in our yoga university, we had a ICMR sponsored research on the quality of meditators. ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research. With a huge funding, multi-centric research. The research is not happening from one place. It was happening across different centers of meditation. All popular institutes. SVASA itself, we had set of cyclic meditators. We have the Raja Yoga meditators from Brahma Kumaris. We had the Isha meditators. We have the Vipassana doers, the Anapanasati from Pyramid Valley. Different meditators have been taken. Jain, I told you about the Preksha meditators. Everyone. And every criteria was matched. Suppose you're taken 30 people from this, then 30, 30, 30 there, everywhere. Same age group, gender. So everything was very critically matched accordingly. You will take meditators and then there will be electrodes and everything fixed. And then their brain waves, brainwave coherence, heart rate variability, different parameters are taken and then we measure. And one of the major, again, parameters, sleep. What is the quality of sleep of meditators to sleep? In fact, in most of the cases, what was understood by the scientific evidences, what you take from the meditators, it is just the brain activity. When what happens when you sleep, for example, we take. Similarly, what happens when you meditate? They're all sitting and doing meditation. In most cases, the result was that they were sleeping. Thinking, again, this is again a viparyaya. What the person have, the perception the person have, I am meditating, he thinks. But actually, what is he doing? He is sleeping. So his sleep, he presumes to be a meditation, which is again a viparyaya, the function of the mind. Get it? So most of the cases of even meditation, people were, that's why I told you it's not so easy. Manushyanam sahasraeshu, only one among thousands can really go to that state of meditation. In the name of meditation, we are okay. At least sleep is something better than thinking the other chitta vrittis, right? All other chitta vrittis sometimes can become klishtaha, painful. Whereas nidra in most cases can become aklishtaha, unpainful. Right? I had a headache this morning. Heavy headache. The solution I had, sleep. I slept for a while, got fresh. So I'm able to talk to you, take a class. So sleep can become always a relief from the pain, aklishta. But oversleeping, slept more than what is required, and you got late for your office going, for your school, college, whatever it is, right? Sometimes people sleep very well. Afterwards, getting up, they feel tired. Your sleep should put you to tiredness or freshness. Sometimes you get up from the sleep and then everything, the body is still. That means it is not the right way of sleeping what we have undergone. Much more to talk on sleep. Later we will sometimes will take. But now what I'm trying to say, Nidra as an important facet as a function, modification of the mind, abhava pratyaya is what is nidra because of the tamo vritti. And finally, smriti, anubhuta vishaya asampramoshaha, smriti. It is nothing but the recollection of the past experiences. Memory, smriti is nothing but the recollection of the past experiences, which is smriti. I keep on emphasizing on this. Did you recollect what I spoke in the class? Did you recollect what are the asanas yesterday we did in the class? The Uttida, Hasta, Padangushtasana. Did you remember the Parivrata Trikonasana, the Parshvakonasana? Did you remember the Anapanasati meditation with Master Subramaniam from Bangalore taught you the meditation? Did you remember the shloka which taught by Subbu Bhaiya, the memory? So the recollection of the past experiences is memory, which is called smriti. These are the 5 chittavrittis. Again, everything can be klishta, aklishtaha, painful, non-painful. Just imagine memory. Good memories, bad memories. When you think of the good memories, the good times we had, right? That can make you more happy, more peaceful. At the same time, bad memories, the bad time you had. You think of it, then will it be making you happy? It puts you into sadness, depression, tension, worry, stress. Right? If I think of that person, we say, no. If I think of that thing which happened, don't ask me if I think of it. You tell that, but then that's what more and more we think. Even if you have a choice to think of the good things. Even if you have the choice to imagine, right? Our Professor Subramaniam, another professor, always used to, he is a very romantic in his speeches. We will have his talks also later, if time permits. So he is already 80 plus, but very romantic in his. So if at all, he would say, if you have the choice to imagine, why think negative things? Think that the beautiful girl comes and garlands you, kisses you, something like that in his own way. He will present in a romantic way. He should listen when he says only. Then only you will imagine. When he is telling only, you will be visualizing in a romantic way, poetic way, in his wonderful English. When he is telling only, you will visualize. The vikalpa will start. So even when you have a choice to imagine good things. Imagine that I will have so much of dirhams in my hand. I will become the Sheikh of Dubai one day and shake the whole world. So even the choice of all these chittavrittis, how aklishta, how painful we can take, but ultimate goal is to go to the state of chittavritti nirodha, which means we need to cross stoppage of the chittavrittis, the modifications of mind. To stop, we need to know what is that first. Then only we work on stopping. Therefore, Patanjali goes on to enlist them what they are. And the Bhashyas like Vyasa Bhashya, Bhoja Bhashya and all, Sadashiva Brahmendra's Yoga Vartika, everything they go on to elaborate what they are. So through which we understand what they are. Pramana, Viparya, Vikalpa, Nidra, Smriti. We have seen the Antakarana Chatushtiya, Mano, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara, right? The Manas, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara, the 4 Antakaranas that we have seen, and we have gone to see about the Chitta Bhumika. The Chitta Bhumikas, what are they? The Mudha, Shipta, Vikshipta, Ekakra, and Nirodha are the Chitta Bhumikas, the 5 planes of the mind. And we have seen the 5 Chitta Vrittis, Pramana, Viparya, Vikalpa, Nidra, Smriti. In Pramana, the 3, which are they? Pratyaksha, Anumana, Agama, Pramana. All these are what we have seen. And we have seen also in brief what is Kriya Yoga, the first three. Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana, Kriya Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga, we already know. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. And we know the 4 chapters of Yoga Sutra: Samadhi Pada, Sadhana Pada, Vibhuti Pada, Kaivalya Pada, and the number of sutras respectively 51, 55, 55, 34 being the number of sutras which are there distributed in all these chapters. With this, we conclude for today, and tomorrow again we will take up further more of our exploration into the Yoga Sutra. We conclude with Shanti Mantra. Namaskara Mudra. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukhabhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Shri Krishnarpanamastu.